Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the University of Hong Kong Consortium for Higher Education Research in Asia, because that's where we are, although we do look at higher education around the world. But since we're in Asia, we focus more on that, and we will today in today's talk. I hope you'll check our website and get further information about our upcoming seminars. For example, on Thursday, Professor John Weidman will be here at 12:45 to talk about the socialization of doctoral students. An interesting talk, because doctoral students go through lots of changes as doctoral students, and he's been doing research on this for hundreds of years, decades. So anyway, let me begin by introducing our speaker today. So we'll have time for discussion. And so our speaker today, who I have met a number of years ago, but haven't met in a long time, since he moved from Xiamen to I guess it's around Suzhou, right?
Yes.
So this is right. Professor Zhang Xiaojun got his PhD actually at Xi'an Jiaotong University, and he joined Xi'an Jiaotong as the deputy director of the Institute of Leadership and Education, Leadership and Advanced Education Advanced Development, right? And that was way back in 2013, which that was created by him with the support of the leaders of his university. Now, Zhang Xiaojun is the chief officer of education at Xi'an Jiaotong-Liverpool University. So, being the chief education officer, he has a lot in common with us as a faculty of education and as a higher education research unit. And he was a team leader of what's called the Entrepreneurial College at Xi'an Jiaotong University, and a leadership team. What's most interesting to me is he's now executive dean. He's very busy with administration. He's got so many administrative posts here. He is what's called the inaugural executive dean, the first executive dean of the Academy. I'll say this slowly because this is the best part. The Academy of Future Education, as well as the acting dean of Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Hub. So today's topic will be on the subject of how China's universities innovate education for the future. And this is a fascinating, for someone who's trying to follow what's going on in China, this is a very fascinating talk, because, we usually think of education in the mainland as a little different than us here in Hong Kong, because there's, it's a different academic environment. And to have innovation, Hong Kong, like the Hong Kong government keeps out of education, but the mainland government mediates and directs and so on. So you think innovation, how does it happen there and how does it happen here? And we're connected through the Greater Bay Initiative, both sides on entrepreneurship and innovation. So the topic today is certainly very relevant to all of us. I want to thank Zhang Xiaojun for coming on and talking to us. And without further ado, Xiaojun, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Gerard. It's my great honor here today to share and discuss with everyone who is interested in Chinese higher education, what has been happening in recent years, in particular in innovating our own system to meet the requirements of the future society. So as suggested by Gerard, first of all, I would like to talk something about myself, and then go to my topics, and then I would like to leave, for example, 20 to 30 minutes for discussion. My talk will be brief, in particular to focus on several areas at different levels, but I would like to pay more attention to what our colleagues, friends here would be interested in. Then we can have more communication and dialogue. Yeah. So thanks to Professor Gerard, I'm actually previously I was trained as a PhD students in management, and then I transferred to education side. When I joined the Xi'an Jiaotong-Liverpool University, I believe Professor Gerard is very familiar with Xi'an Jiaotong-Liverpool University because I know 10 years ago, you collaborated with Xiamen University professors, study on this Sino-Foreign Joint Venture University. We are one of these kind of institutions. We are actually the third Sino-Foreign Joint Venture in China. The first one is Ningbo Nottingham. The second one is UIC. When I joined the Xi'an Jiaotong-Liverpool University 13 years ago, I was actually, I would say I'm an educational practitioner, not a researcher, not exactly a researcher. But now, as you can see, I'm also the executive dean of Academy of Future Education, which is supposed to be something similar to School of Education or Faculty of Education. But we are slightly different. I will share. I'm currently an educational practitioner, educator, as well as educational researcher. So my talk today, I think, will start from practical observations, and then I'm not just to share my own research. I actually hope to propose several key issues that I think the academic side need to pay attention to for what is happening in educational practice world in Chinese higher education. In the past 10 years, my personal research mainly focusing on Sino-Foreign joint ventures, education innovation, and change leadership. Something very relative to today's topic. So that's something about myself. Talk a little bit about our Academy of Future Education, because I believe maybe many of our colleagues here today online would come from Faculty of Education. So our Academy of Future Education is slightly different with the Faculty of Education. First of all, our focus is mainly on future education. That's our key, I think, focus in almost everything in our daily work. So within this academy, we do not have traditional programs, just like in China. If you're familiar with Chinese degree program, we have program or higher education, primary education, secondary education, international education, something like that. In the Academy of Future Education, we have 3 master programs which were developed mainly focusing on the major topics in the future of education. For example, digital education. That's one of our master program. We also have a program titled Global Education. And we have a program on child development and family education, which is a very important area in Chinese society now. Family education. In next 20 or even longer term, I think that will be a crucial issue. So that's about programs. Actually, the Academy of Future Education is a university level platform. We also have our faculty development center in this academy. And we also have a student support center. We call that Learning Institute for Future Excellence, which is mainly to support, for example, student transition from a high school student to an international university students, also supporting students' social emotional learning, something new, which we are focusing on in recent years. We also have a unit focusing on impact the wider community through our own practice. So currently we have a number of different programs, projects, mainly to support these educational practitioners and educational institutions in China and beyond. I will briefly mention these projects in my sharing. So that's something about myself. Then I think I can go to the PPT slides.
PPT, okay.
Yes, I will share. Okay, so can you see my PPT slides?
Yes, we can. I can. Everybody else? Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. So I will take maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes for this sharing, then we can have dialogue. Of course, during my sharing, if you have anything you want to share or ask, feel free to interrupt. We can discuss through this whole process. My topic is how Chinese university innovate education for the future society. My talk will mainly at 3 levels. First, at micro level, course level, what has been doing in previous 10 years in Chinese higher education, which I called teaching innovation at course level. And I will also briefly sharing the education system restructure at organizational level, taking university as a whole, what kind of projects or key initiatives. And we also, in particular, in past 5 years, there is a trend in focusing on even larger community. For example, collaborating with industry, local community, or international institutions. We call that ecosystem development at the sector level. So after I sharing these 3, the initiatives at these 3 levels, I would like to identify key issues, questions I think the academics need to pay attention to. And in particular, I would also like to talk about the change leadership, because everyone agrees at this moment, higher education across the world is undergoing radical change. So we are expecting university leaders can lead us to have a successful change. And also we are expecting all the faculty members can join into this changing journey to contribute to the this kind of a reform or revolution in higher education. So I will talk a little bit about change leadership as well as faculty development in the Chinese higher education institutions. So that's basically the structure, main topics of my talk. I would like to start with the story of teaching innovation in China. Teaching innovation is a very hot topic in the Chinese higher education system at this moment. Almost every teacher in each higher education institution is talking about teaching innovation. So I would like to share 3 different stages in the development of or the increase of teaching innovation in higher education in China. My story started with the very important, I think, project. In 2016, our university, my university, XJTLU, launched a project called National University Teaching Innovation Award, which at that moment, actually, I has been the major project leader about this project. This project currently actually is very successful. We have every year have hundreds of universities, thousands of teachers attending this award. But at that moment, actually, teaching innovation was not a very hot topic. At that moment, nobody was talking about innovating teaching, because the focus of Chinese universities in 10 years ago is research output, ranking. So at that moment, when we launched this event, actually not too many people or teachers are focusing on that, but with the fast development of last 10 years, in particular with the challenges of student engagement in classroom. Of course, I think that's a university-wide, a global-wide phenomenon. I'm not sure the situation in Hong Kong University, but in almost all the Chinese universities in mainland, actually every teacher faces this challenge. How, as a teacher, to encourage students to engage in the classroom. In my university, actually, the challenge is how we encourage students to come to the classroom, because we do not have the mandatory requirements for students to join the class. Students actually have their own right to make a decision whether they want to join the classroom. So with this impact from the challenges of student engagement in classroom, actually teaching innovation has been a very popular topic in recent years. The other side thing, before 2016, in Chinese universities, main focus is to have interactive teaching. We call that interactive teaching because previously almost all the classroom teaching was a kind of teacher-dominated knowledge feeding. So at that moment, we focus on how we can encourage students to talk to each other or to have student-staff communication or interaction. But in recent years, we pay more attention to other kind of innovations beyond the interactive teaching, which I will share. So what we are doing now is to advocate new ideas in reshaping learning and teaching, not just to, for example, I have a 1 hour classroom teaching, I have 40 minutes teachers teaching to students, 20 minutes student discussion. That's not something we are advocating now in mainland China. We are kind of reshaping the whole learning process and teaching process, which I will talk a little bit later. But during this period, in the previous 10 years, actually, XJTLU has been taking a very important role, in particular in introducing the concept of teaching innovation. So I would like to share a little bit about why this kind of institution take this kind of role. Normally in Chinese, mainland China higher education, many of the new initiatives was proposed by these key universities. For example, we have Xi'an, we have Tsinghua, Peking University. Almost every university is learning from them every day. So in past 10 years or in past decades, actually, the main focus of Chinese university is, as I mentioned, is research, ranking, research output. From the education and learning and teaching side, actually, those major public universities, they do not have much time and effort to pay attention to that. So that gives XJTLU as a Sino-foreign joint ventures opportunity to lay down something in education development and innovation. If you look at all the Chinese universities, until now, most of the teaching innovation happen in those institutions who are not top in the ranking, because most of the faculties in the top universities, they are busy with research. For those teaching related institutions, they actually spend a lot of time, energy in innovating teaching. For Sino-foreign joint ventures, we currently have 10 independent universities, but actually we are quite different with each other. For example, XJTLU is kind of independent. We are not copying our two parent universities, Jiaotong-Liverpool and the University of Liverpool. We are not copying their practice. We are innovating, exploring new education models. But for other institutions, I know several Hong Kong universities actually collaborate with mainland university to create these Sino-foreign joint ventures. For example, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, City University of Hong Kong, they both of them have actually this kind of collaboration, but their positioning and strategy is quite different with XJTLU. They are trying to copy what their parent university is doing in Hong Kong, but our model, as I mentioned, is to create new models. So after several years, after we launched or initiate this kind of new concept in teaching innovation, more and more teachers has been joined, and actually our event has become a very popular one in the whole higher education system. There are participants from all kinds of different universities, including those top universities in China. And then in 2021, actually, the national government launched several very important events, such as the first class programs, first class courses, national teaching innovation competition. All of these initiatives, as you can see, this is something unique in China, in mainland China. Many of our initiatives was proposed and launched by the government. It's a kind of a government dominated or lead innovation. So this is a very important year in mainland China from my perspective in terms of education innovation, because central government launched a number of different programs, projects focusing on different level initiatives. For example, program level initiatives, course level initiatives, and again, a national teaching innovation competition, which is very similar with what has been done several years ago. So this actually promotes the teaching innovation and education innovation a lot in China. Our idea and philosophy actually is also very similar. The national level competition also advocate future-oriented, meaningful teaching innovation, which actually we encourage teachers to think about teaching radically differently, not just to change 20% of the existing model, try to change the 100%. So this has been what all the teachers in Chinese universities have been doing in recent years, in particular after 2021. So at this moment, as I mentioned, almost all the universities participate in this kind of teaching innovation. This is a kind of a unique phenomenon. I also pay attention to some global teaching innovation in other countries, but I think the Chinese context is kind of unique because as I mentioned, all the teachers in all the Chinese universities currently is working on teaching innovation. So this is kind of a background. But one of the key issues or questions, I think, at this moment in the Chinese higher education context or even beyond, we need to think about is what kind of innovation in teaching would be valuable for the future society. My observation, almost all the teachers are doing teaching innovation, but do all the teaching innovations meaningful or valuable, future-oriented? How can we actually conduct future-oriented, meaningful teaching innovation? I would say at this moment, the practical side or the practical world urgently expect the guide from the academic side. How can we propose? Here I propose two different kinds of innovation in teaching in the mainland China. The first type is knowledge feeding based innovation. That's of course based on my personal observation. From my perspective, almost 95% of what we call that teaching innovation is trying to actually improve the efficiency of knowledge teaching or knowledge learning of students. Although there is different kind of innovation, but almost all of them actually aims to improve the efficiency of students in learning knowledge and theories. But personally, I don't think that's actually the future-oriented, meaningful teaching innovation. In particular, if we want to prepare or help our students to prepare for their future life and a career, I think that's not enough. So there's another kind of teaching innovation, which a few of current cases, teaching innovation cases focus on. We call that outcome-based restructuring of the whole course to restructure the traditional knowledge learning process, in particular to contribute to the new learning objectives. As you may know, in recent years, the national government is encouraging all the teachers to pay attention to learning outcomes and objectives beyond knowledge and theories. For example, those problem-solving skills, critical thinking, entrepreneurial mindset, and those kind of higher level objectives. But the key challenge here is how one course in 4 months can really help students to develop these higher level goals. That's actually a key topic I think the academic side need to pay attention to. Of course, I don't think this is a new topic. It has been existing for quite a while. But in the current Chinese higher education context, this kind of focusing on one course in 4 months, how can we have an effective teaching pedagogy curriculum to support students' development beyond knowledge and theories learning? I think that's a crucial topic that the academic side need to address. I take one example, for example, at my university, Xi'an Jiaotong-Liverpool University. In past decade, we has been advocating research-led learning and teaching. This is a typical restructuring of the traditional pedagogy and curriculum. As you can see, we are kind of restructuring the whole learning process, starting from we encourage students to start their learning on the module from real-world problems they are interested in, not from knowledge and theories prepared or designed by teachers. And led by that problems, they study on the knowledge, they have their own knowledge searching, integration. Of course, currently they also get help from AI for this. And then we encourage students to work from a team to provide solutions to all the problems they are interested in. This is kind of the project-based learning, but we actually are encouraging all the students as teachers to study through this way, all their modules. So, but how can we actually encourage all the staff members and all the students to adapt to this new kind of learning and teaching models? It is quite challenging. As mentioned, I am currently the Chief Officer of Education in my university. One of my key roles is to encourage students to learn from a different approach, and to support and encourage our teachers to actually innovate their teachers. But this is something I think currently have kind of challenge. I think I need to quick. This is another model developed by myself, in particular to respond to the question I just mentioned. My understanding is currently we are lack of a holistic model of teaching innovation at course level. We talked about a lot of different factors, but if I am a teacher, when I want to innovate my course, sometimes I need to have a holistic model to guide me how I can consider different things together. So after I leading the project of national level teaching innovation award, I actually learned from thousands of teaching innovation cases, and I developed this diamond model, which you can see if a teacher want to innovate the course from a holistic perspective. I think the 5 key elements or factors need to pay attention to. In particular, my model actually is kind of different with the mainstream ideas in 2, I think, aspects. The first thing is in recent years, I am advocating the teaching innovation starts from rethinking the purpose of education. I think it is also in line with this international discussion. But if we think this at a module level, sometimes it is quite challenging for us to rethink the purpose. Most of our teachers actually are quite good at doing what we are doing traditionally. But to think about the different purposes is not something good. Our teachers are good at. So the other thing I also advocate is learning activities as a process rather than content as the core elements support the learning outcomes. So I'm not sure what the situation in Hong Kong, but in mainland China, when we talk about teaching innovation, when we talk about higher level goals, teachers would like to go back into content. They are trying to adjust or change the content structure to meet these higher level objectives. So personally, I think at this age, only adjusting the content cannot meet the higher level objectives. In this model, what I propose is to pay attention to learning activities redesign and learning process redesign. I mentioned about the research-led learning and teaching at XJTIU. That actually is a typical case of restructuring the learning process of students, not only the content. So this is something happening at the micro module or course level innovation. I'm going to talk something about the university education system. In the mainland China higher education system, currently we are focusing on several different areas. For example, the university industry collaboration. That's a key area, also initiated by the central government. For example, last year, the central government initiated the School of Excellent Engineering. This is particular to innovate the engineering education, how we can collaborate with industry. The central government also advocating the university industry association or community, something like different institutions from education side and the industry side to work together in one community to innovate our education. And also the modern industry college, that's something some organization or unit developed within a higher education institution to systematically actually improve the university industry collaboration, in particular to motivate the industry side for their involvement in education. That's one key area. The other key area is the quality assurance system. In past 5 years, that's a key focus. The main idea to improve the quality assurance system is to from national level to organizational level. Previously, actually, the quality of education of one university was determined mainly by the government, central government. The central government will set a team to evaluate what the quality of this university would be. But now the trend is to encourage and support each university to develop its own quality assurance system. That means that each university should be responsible and evaluate or monitor your quality regularly in your daily work. So this kind of change actually impact a lot about the quality assurance system development at organizational level. Previously, we did not have much in ensuring or assuring our own quality at university level. But now each university is developing its own procedure or system to ensure their quality, their education quality is actually meeting the standards of the country. So the other thing is we almost all the Chinese universities are focusing on outcome-based education, OBE, something in particular in engineering area. This is a new kind of idea introduced from the global community and also the student-centered philosophy. They continuously improve the mechanism. Previously, every 5 years, the central government will evaluate the quality of the universities. So every university will have 3 years, very peaceful time, nothing. And before the national government send the team to evaluate, then they will spend 1 year to prepare for that. And after that, they will spend another year to actually improve. This is not a kind of a continuously improved mechanism, but now almost everything has been developed at the organizational level. That means in our daily work, we need to pay attention to how to improve our practice from day-to-day work, not from every 5 years. So that's the difference. All the Chinese universities currently also embrace the student-centered philosophy. So we are developing some student-centered system. In particular, we have a term called the whole system student-centered education. This holistic approach mainly includes the whole process, including previously we considered teaching in the classroom is kind of education. Student affairs is kind of additional, not directly contribute to the student development. But in recent years, when we talk about the whole process, we are considering everything in the university. We are expecting every staff members, including faculty, PS staff, is actually a key contributor to student development. We also consider every unit, including the schools, academic units, as well as professional service units, as a key organizations to support student development. So this is kind of change happening. The whole team, as I mentioned, from academic staff to the whole staff team in the university. So this is something 2 years ago in another book written by myself and my co-authors. We actually pay attention to the university transformation, in particular from teacher-dominated to student-centered. This actually is the key focus now at university level. Most of us are focusing on. This is a picture, actually, I'm not sure, it's not a very precise model, but this is something to explain what is happening at the university level. Previously, as you can see from the left side, when we talk about education quality, we're talking about teachers teaching in the classroom. But now when we talk about the quality of education, we're actually talking about the whole university. In particular, whether we divide a kind of learning environment that students can work or collaborate, learn with each other, learn from industry people, learn from community people. And the university as a system, as a platform, we also think about whether this platform can actually provide the resources for students to work or to learn from each other. And we also reconsider the role of teachers, in particular, teachers from a knowledge feeding role to actually a guidance role, how we guide students to learn from each other, learn from the society. So this is something, a change, some kind of change happening at the university level. Actually, it's different understanding about the university. Here is a case, but I will need to go through this very quickly. This is something we are exploring at XJTLU. We currently have 2 campuses, one in Suzhou, one in Taicang, which is very near to Shanghai. This is something we are happening in another new campus. We call that integrative education. It's a kind of new project. We pay attention to actually cultivate the students 4 areas for their graduate attributes, including global citizenship, industry knowledge, technological foundation, and entrepreneurial mindset. I would like to share something in particular about the technology plus entrepreneurship. So we are currently exploring to actually cultivate industry elites, not specialized elites in a specific discipline. We actually develop a kind of degree program, not based on the disciplines, but based on the industry we are focusing on. For example, if we focus on the industry of Internet of Things, then students in this program, studying on this program, need to pay not only with disciplinary knowledge, but they also need to pay attention to the industry knowledge. For example, what is the current industry challenge? What is the future trend? What is the key technologies involved in this industry? And they will also focus on some technological foundation they are interested in. And we, in particular, add the entrepreneurial education into all the technology and engineering programs. Students study on this program have 75% of their credits in technology and engineering, and 25% of their credits actually in entrepreneurial education. So this is kind of a combination or integration or synergy between technology, engineering education, and entrepreneurial education. There are some details about how we integrate this, but I will go through this very quickly. Mainly, we actually introduced the Syntegrate project, which is a real-world project from the industry. We expect all our students learning start from real-world project from the industry, and then those technological or engineering modules and entrepreneurial modules to support students to work on these projects. So this is something we are exploring in our credit-bearing elements, and we also develop some non-credit-bearing platforms, such as Innovation Factory, which is a platform to support students to test their innovative ideas. Also incubator. This is actually something in almost all Chinese universities we are developing this kind of incubating platform. So this is a typical case of what XJTLU is exploring. But through this case, we can see actually at the organizational level, we are exploring not only a new kind of student learning journey, but also to consider university as a platform, not a traditional way to consider it as a place to students to learn in the classroom from teachers. So the third level or third area, rethink the role of education in future society. In particular, starting from last year, the impact of AI, ChatGPT, to our education system. Actually, this is a very recent topic, I think, in a whole higher education context. Although from my understanding, this has been a problem or issue for several decades. Our current education is kind of developed in hundreds of years ago to actually meet the expectation of the society at that moment. But currently, the whole society actually have many different kinds of expectations to our education. But how our education can react or respond to that new expectations and rethink the role of us in the future society. I think that's a key topic. A small group of people are discussing, but I would expect in the near future that will be a key topic in the whole education system. The key ideas or topics include, for example, imagination of the future society and the future jobs, and learning needs of the future learners, and the role of education in supporting learners for their learning, and the effective education system in that situation. So there are some key issues or questions I think the current educational institutions and educators need to think about. All of these are big questions, but I think that's very important currently. Just to give several examples from those leading international organizations or groups about these topics, but I will not go into detail. I think based on my observation in the academic side, we do not have much research on this in these areas, in particular to respond to the AI impact of AI to the higher education. For example, the World Economic Forum, every year they publish this Future of Jobs report. This actually typically talk about what the future society would be like, what the future jobs would be like. And they also talk about the education, how education can meet this new kind of development in society. We also talk about the OECD, Future of Education and Skills, Education 2030. This is something everyone, I think, is familiar. But this report, I think, is crucial, in particular to guiding the education side to think about our key purpose and rethink the purpose of education. But this report or this framework actually was developed before the AI last year, AI, I think, fast development. So at this moment, I think we need to rethink about this framework. Of course, I take this as an example. I think the whole education system need to think about the two questions raised by this report. What kind of knowledge, skills, attitudes today's students need to shape, and how can the instructional system develop these knowledge skills? I think these two questions are fundamental challenges that the fast development of AI, other new technologies actually provide to our education side. I also share this very important report from UNESCO about the rethinking education. In particular, I like their ideas here. Rethinking the purpose of education and the organization of learning has never been more urgent. I totally agree with all that. But I think in the academic side, in education, we do not have much research actually focusing about this. Although it is big questions, I think we need to have more ideas, thoughts to guide and to inspire the practical side in innovating of idea. Of course, this is the latest UNESCO report on, in particular, on the generative AI, the future of education. Here they highlight several key questions. I'm not going to share the details, but they are talking about in the AI assisted world or society, what is the role of teachers, what is the role of education, how people will learn, human beings will learn from each other. So these key questions, I think, are very important when we're talking about the education and innovation. But these questions, from my observation, are not key questions that Chinese higher education institutions is paying attention to now. Only a small group of people is talking about that. But that, I think, is very important to this higher education community if we really want to meet the future size expectations from the future society. So I'm going to talk a little about the change leadership. The Chinese higher education system is kind of unique because all the public universities belongs to the government, and actually the government also actually appoint all the leaders of the universities, public universities. So now we definitely need visionary leaders with effective change management skills. But how? How can we support our university leaders to be visionary? And actually 10 years ago, when I studied the Chinese higher education system, the change leadership, I proposed a concept called dual rational leadership. In the Chinese context, we have some unique environment factors I think we need to pay attention to when we lead a university for a vision. So by this dual rational leadership, I mean, first of all, we need to think from educational perspective. What will be the future? Actually, leaders need to have clear idea of the three key level questions I just highlighted: the teaching innovation at micro level, the organizational level innovation, and also to have thinking about the role of education in the wider society. That's one aspect of the rational leadership. The other aspect is we need to consider the uniqueness in the Chinese context. In particular, as I mentioned, all the public universities belongs to the government. Government does have its own purpose and interests. How we can combine that together, how we can integrate that together to actually implement or to explore the education and also to meet the expectations from the government. That's something I think for all the leaders in the Chinese universities need to develop. The other big issue in Chinese current education society, there are kind of different ideas, different understandings about education. For example, in the primary school level or high school level, there is a kind of different ideas, conflict, and there is we have a word in Chinese called 内卷, something, a kind of situation that everybody find the current education system has some problem. We all know that it need to be improved, but nobody improve it, and everybody actually is supporting the current existing problem through their own behavior or own actions. So this is a kind of a very interesting phenomenon. I think the key issue we move forward to really make the change happen is that we need to have a consensus in regard to ideal or good education. What is the good education? What actually is good for our child to develop? We need to have some consensus in all these key, I think, questions, not only for educators, also for students, for parents, for industry leaders. This is kind of social level, I think, agreement. And actually, in past 2 years, we initiated something we called Finding Outstanding Chinese Educators in the New Area. This is a project mainly to help the society to get consensus in these key areas. We have a different kind of dialogues, talks involving a number of different people, including parents, industry leaders, society people, teachers, students, to talk with each other to get agreement on what is the ideal or good education we need to have. So this is something I think 2 levels of leadership, organizational leadership, I think also social level leadership is very important for the education innovation. last thing I hope to share, the faculty development. The faculty development has been a fast growing area in Chinese higher education in the past 10 years. 10 years ago, actually, most of universities didn't have a faculty development center and a faculty development people. But now every university have faculty development people and a center. In the past 10 years, we mainly supported the new teachers, for those who just joined the university. But currently, our challenge is how can we support the whole faculty team, in particular those who has been in the teaching position for a while, because we are talking about innovation, teaching innovation. We are not only talking about to actually support the teaching skills development. We are talking about innovation, how we encourage, support everyone to innovate the teaching. This is a key challenge in the faculty development in the mainland Chinese universities. Again, in the faculty development, we are kind of a lack of professional staff and a professional approach in doing the faculty development, because this is a new thing. We currently mainly focus on training, not training based with field support and service. That means we the main approach for faculty development now is provide training, is intensive events and activities, but the support to individual level staff during their teaching process is kind of very very few, and we are lack of this kind of support during the process because we are lack of professional staff. I know because we are collaborating with UK. In UK, we have education developers. In my university, we also have education developers. But actually, in most of Chinese universities, they don't have education developers. They only have several professional service staff to organize these training sessions. So this is a kind of challenge. So this, I think something, this is all what I hope to share. I think we also have 20 minutes. As I mentioned, I do hope to have dialogue or any questions, comments, ideas. Feel free, please.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Professor Zhang Xiaojun. I think everybody would agree this is a very systematic, impressive, timely, and well enunciated, well-spoken, well-explained talk about what you are doing, what your group is doing, the Academy of the Future at the Xi'an Jiaotong-Liverpool University. So we are certainly very, very glad about this, and we'll take some questions. Let me just start off with an observation, if I could, because I know I'm very interested in Chinese education. And, as I hear you talk about the innovation and learning and real world problems, group discussion, project learning, critical thinking, mindset, improving efficiency of knowledge learning, and so on, analytical thinking, it makes me think to myself, geez, these are all Western ideas. These are ideas that have been around for 100 years. When John Dewey went to spend time with Cai Yuanpei at Beida, they were talking about these ideas of Husher, and now there seeming to be, new, innovative ideas. So, I'm kind of playing the devil's advocate here. We do the same thing in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a Chinese society, 95% of the people. So whether we're local or overseas, we deal with the kind of issues that you deal with there. And the only difference, I can see is about leadership. The leadership is different there than here. There's a civilizational state in China that handles things very differently. And so I get to thinking to myself, this is all about the future, but the greatest thing about Chinese civilization was the past. I mean, China led the world for 17 centuries. And China's, the highest social status in the country was the social status of the literati, not the samurai or the warriors. And that was missing. And like Confucian, you know, I understand that the leadership in the country wants more emphasis now on the historical part. So I'm wondering, and I don't think that hurts the country. For example, before we had all these talk of innovation, even before it really got off the ground, I mean, China was producing Huawei, DJI, China Mobile, Xiaomi, Alibaba, ByteDance, Tencent, all of these things without all of this narrative about all the Western ideas and so on. So why put all the Western flowers there? Why not just say, oh, we're doing Confucian education and in Hong Kong, we've been dealing with the University of Hong Kong. We've been dealing with this a long time. Books published called The Chinese Learner over and get, it's cited all over the world. So if I could just ask one question, what are the cultural obstacles? Because what you seem to be saying is we need to innovate. So what are the cultural obstacles to doing what you're doing? Okay. And I think that would be just one question would do it. But listen, you know what? Why don't you hold that question and I'll go to the Q&A list and see what else we have. Okay. And maybe we can give you, Xiaojun, a few questions. Okay, here we go. A question by Hasti Arifi. I'm curious to know about the plans of Chinese universities for the future of the humanities and social science disciplines. That's a good one, because not only in the mainland universities, but here too, it's all about STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, like our University of Hong Kong Faculty of Education is ranked #1 in the world. But we have the oldest buildings, oldest buildings on the campus. So anyway, the rest of the question is, it would be very good if you could provide a report on what you think, about this. So you've got 2 questions. Anybody else? Please ask any questions, anybody. In fact, we can actually even have you speak about the question. So. Okay, so there you go. Let's start with those 2. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Gerard. To your questions, I totally agree with you. If you look at the past 40 years of Chinese higher education history, I think it's mainly a history of learning from Western world about what we call the modern higher education system. So we have this kind of, I would say, idea and kind of, I would say, a habit of learning from the West. Previously, this has been an idea for most of Chinese educational practitioners that our education is not that as good as those in the West. So we actually learn from the West for quite a long time of period. Until now, I think this kind of idea is still dominating the process. Of course, in recent years, as you mentioned, from top down, there are some new ideas, in particular to explore the unique model for Chinese higher education. There's some guidance idea from this area, but I would say at this moment, what in the practice, most of what we are doing is kind of similar in what the Western world are doing. If you look at the Chinese higher education, we impacted a lot by the Soviet Union's education system, focusing on knowledge feeding systems. It's not easy for us to change this. Actually, it's kind of culture. It's kind of culture. So at this stage, as I mentioned, there are some small group of people focusing on Chinese unique education models, but these are not that impactful to a wider community at this moment. You talk about cultural protocols. Based on my observation, I don't think we have many impactful protocols in the culture side. Yeah.
Okay, let me move you on to the next question, but I just wanted to add that, I mean, it seems to me, my experience is that Chinese students like to learn the way they learn. They've always learned that way for centuries, and why push them? It must change. But anyway, because they still do very well and innovate. But here's the second part of the question. Social science, you are in the basically social science humanities area there at Jiaotong, at Xi'an Jiaotong in Liverpool. So Hasti Arifi wants to know a little bit about what you think. Is there any danger in just losing the humanities and social sciences in terms of their status at the university?
Yeah. So actually, one of the key focus of the national government is in technology engineering side. I believe everyone can understand the reason, because that's contribute to the national economic development directly. Of course, in recent years, the whole education system, including the national government initiatives, actually they have a more comprehensive approach. For example, we focus on 4 areas. Engineering, that's one area. Social science, that's another area. Medical school, that's the area, and also the agriculture. That's actually include almost all the disciplines. We identify these 4 areas, and each area has a specific, unique approach.
Okay. Well, let me put it simply to you, because I think this is what he means. Does philosophy and social science, do they contribute to innovation in engineering and in medicine? They do. Okay, so you answered the question right there. I think that was good. Tsai Fei has a question for you, and thanks you very much for your talk. And she is wondering, I think he is wondering, if there are differences between the Sino-foreign universities, the Zhuai places, and then the public universities regarding what? Regarding one, educational evaluation. Okay, who evaluates? Because I know that if the programs like, say, Duke, Kunshan, NYU, they're certified over in the United States, the programs, then the evaluation has to be partly there. They're not going to issue a degree in Liverpool, from Liverpool unless it's, so that's probably a good question. And the other one is about Neidron. And I don't know what exactly Tsai Fei means. There's a Neidron difference in this. So maybe Tsai Fei can have something to say about that. And do we have I'm sorry. So keep that question in mind, okay? Because we got some great questions. Okay, I'm going to give them to you. If you don't remember them, I'll tell you about it later. Nali says, Professor Zhang, thanks for the impressive presentation. Would you please introduce some examples of the regulative, normative, and cultural cognitive institutions that support educational innovation? Now, there's a well thought out question that may take about an hour to answer, but we're glad you asked it, Nali, and it's good that we put it out there. Then another, Hasti, of course, thanks you for answer for his question, and then Monique, who has really been extremely helpful. She's wondering the birth rate. This question about the birth rate decreasing. China. One thing about Chinese higher rate, the scale is so large, but what happens when it shrinks? decline? Of course, you know, this is a big question, so that's another one. So why don't you just go ahead and answer what you like?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So briefly, so the first question, whether FCAT is Sino-foreign joint ventures at public universities have similar evaluation. Basically, I think we are different in terms of education evaluation. We are more market-oriented, not regulation dominated. For example, from student side, when we recruit students, it's kind of different with the logic and rationale. When students choose us, when we choose public universities, there is a ranking. They just choose from top to down. But when students decide to choose Sino-foreign joint ventures, that's mainly because of our education idea is different. Philosophy is different. System is different. And for the evaluation,
philosophy, you said philosophy is different? Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you might just want to say how. That'd be useful to who asked the question there? Yeah. That was asked by Cao Fei. Yeah. How is the philosophy different?
Actually, for the Sino-foreign joint ventures, we are more student-centered. We care about students' learning experience in the campus for the whole 4 years. But for public universities, they also pay attention to students' learning experience, but they also need to.
They're not student-centered. Someplace like Tsinghua or Beida, not very student-centered. No, is that right? Yeah.
I think so. Comparing to
that's what you're saying. Okay.
joint ventures.
I hope they're listening to this today. Okay. Very good. Please continue.
Yeah, the second question is about the examples of. I can give one example. In our own project, we actually support from the NGO organizations for this kind of. I think these are non-for-profit projects. We supported by a NGO in Macau for almost 10 years in supporting us. So in recent years, my observation is more and more companies, including their NGO department, actually supporting kind of teaching innovation. That's, I think, a good thing. Very fast development in past decades in the Chinese education system. Okay. That's one thing. That one example. The third question is about the birth rate decline. Yes. So I'm not sure whether you heard about currently, because of the birth rate decline, the kindergarten in mainland China has been closed their doors. Many kindergartens has already closed their doors. I was told every year there are about 20,000 kindergartens. They cannot recruit students. So that will be a trend. That's actually also the reason why many of these not top universities, they are kind of innovating their system, because they had a kind of a challenge. For example, 10 years later, whether they have students, they can recruit. So that's also a motivation for them to innovate their current system.
I see. That's good. You answered Monique's question, I think, in that way. So you only have one question left that I think you didn't get to yet. And here's the one. And Nali, are you here, Nali? Where's Nali? Maybe Nali can. Nali, can you actually ask the question online? Right now, we'll open your microphone and ask it to Zhang Xiaojun, because that'll be about the last question because the time gap. But I mean, you have a very good question. I don't know if be able to answer it in a short time, but please say it out loud.
Thank you, Professor Zhang, for your example. I think Professor Zhang gave us an example about NGO supporting education innovation, which addressed some of my question.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that's good. And if you have further, part of the great thing about these talks, like the one that Zhang Xiaojun gave today is now you know one another and you can communicate. on email unless you see each other, at certain times. So please, if you have further questions for Zhang Xiaojun, of course I will as well, and I will communicate with him as we have over the months. So thank you very much for joining today. And thank you, Monique, for reminding everybody to please check the website for all the things coming up rather than me waste all the time talking about it. It's all on the web. Zhang Xiaojun, we wish you a good day, and we thank all the audience for all your questions and for your attention and participation. Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye from Hong Kong University.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Gerard. Thank you, everyone. Hope to talk to you later. Yeah.
All the best.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.